Heads up, this video contains spoilers for this book. Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Blurble Reasoning, the show where I talk about books that I've read and thoughts that I have on them. Today we're going to talk about Ship of Magic, Book 1 of the Live Ship Traders, and I suppose I should give a little bit of background before we dive into this. For those of you who don't know, the Live Ship Traders trilogy is the second trilogy in a series of books. I was going to say trilogies, but they're not all trilogies. Set in I think it's called like the Elder Universe or something. I don't really know. I haven't looked too far into it because of spoilers and stuff. This is one of those fancy worlds where I feel like the nature of the world is very much one of the biggest mysteries, and if I go looking up lore, I'm gonna know too much very quickly. All this to say, the first trilogy of books in a series is called the Farseer trilogy, and it's about a different part of the world, a different cast of characters. This is almost completely separate, bar a few references to like the Red Ship Wars in the north. It's worth mentioning that I read the original Farseer trilogy, I don't know, many years ago. Actually, I keep a spreadsheet, let's go have a look. 2018, so 6 years ago now, bloody heck. So why did I wait so long to read the Live Ship trilogy? Well, I didn't. I tried reading Ship of Magic 6 years ago, probably, and I bounced off of it, not because it was a bad book, because I struggle with my attention span. For those of you who aren't followers of the channel, I feel like I mention it every other video, but I'm currently in the middle of trying to get ADHD diagnosed, so I've been having a harder time reading, but recently I've been kind of like adjusting my priority in terms of how I spend my free time, reassessing how I approach reading in general, and yeah. We don't need to get into it, but I've had a more successful time getting back into this book. It's worth considering why I bounced off it the first time, because I think it feeds into my thoughts on the book in general. But if you're concerned, to give you like my very quick top-down overview, yeah, I really bloody liked this book. The reason I think I bounced off it the first time is because how do I explain this without sounding weird? I really soak up the mood of a book. To the point where, or maybe not even a book, but just like fictional worlds, to the point where, and this book isn't bleak, but like as an example, if a book is too bleak, or if a show or a movie is too bleak, I can't deal with it. I know you're supposed to soak up the bleakness, and it's supposed to be part of the theme, but like I just get too depressed. And similarly, in this book, there is a lot of really heavy family drama scenes, and I'm lucky enough to have not really been through much, if any, family drama. We all treat each other quite well, but this book was just kind of upsetting me. Kyle Haven upset me away from this book the first time around, is what I'm trying to say. I want to say I read about the first 30% of this book, maybe, but I initially recommended the Farseer trilogy to my sister, and she fell completely in love with the series, and then she read Live Ship Traders, and then she read the next trilogy and the next trilogy, and she's currently reading whichever one is about dragons. And her talking about this series kind of got me back invested in it, so hey ho, long way to say this is why I'm back reading Ship of Magic. So should we talk about a bloomin' book then? Ship of Magic takes place in a fantasy world where the core magic is based around wizardwood and what that can do, and the main thing that it can do that we are shown is it can make sentient ships. Basically, the figurehead of a ship becomes, after like 3 generations of owners have died on its decks, it becomes quickened, it awakens, or whatever they say, and it becomes sentient, and there's a few different reasons why this is good. I don't need to get into every tiny plot detail. I don't know if people who are watching this video have read the book or are considering doing so, but there's a few different reasons why having a live ship is beneficial to your family. The most face value reason is it's just a more efficient type of ship. This trilogy of books is called the Live Ship Traders trilogy because it centers around a family of traders, and they kind of exist in this world where their city is kind of being slowly overrun by new folk who don't hold to the old ways, and the old ways are better because they don't do terrible immoral things apart from maybe selling the odd child if they can't pay their bills to these weird, mysterious, mutated people from the Rain Wilds. This book takes place over several different points of view. It's one of those fantasy books, because the Farseer trilogy took place from Fitz's point of view. It took place first person from a single character's point of view. So this book is a bit of a departure in that respect. And it's kind of crazy to me, because you'd think Robin Hobb had written all of her books like this, because the way she writes her characters is so authentic and so realistic, it's mind-boggling. Like, don't get me wrong, I've read multiple perspective fantasy before. I've read the Song of Ice and Fire books, I've read... Hang on. Other books. Which books? Other books. I do own other books. Oh, right, I'm currently spending 4 years reading through Wheel of Time. That's the one I'm thinking of. But something about the way Robin Hobb does it is incredible. The way she brings out these unique voices and these unique worldviews. I love Wintro. He's fascinating. I have a thing for characters who want to see the world through, the best perspective, and then go through a whole load of shit and have that perspective challenged. But like the difference between the perspectives of Wintro and Althea and Kyle and Ronica, and it's just crazy. Like, you see a different side to each character when you see them from someone else's point of view. It's almost like you see maybe the worst versions of them, or maybe kind of versions of them, depending. And while all multiple perspective fantasy strives to do this, I think Robin Hobb achieves this sensation of only you as the reader get to see this perfect chaos, this perfect storm coalescing into the events that make up these books. Like, most recently on my mind, because I just finished a book, I guess we're talking spoilers. I guess I'm assuming you've read the book if you've watched this video. But the rift between Kyle Haven and his son Wintro, and at one point Wintro muses aloud, like, why did it have to be this way? And Kyle just goes off on like, because you chose it. You made this happen. And like, I think it's the fact that Kyle honestly believes that, and like the fact that I've seen from his perspective how the world is compared to from Wintro's perspective how the world is. And obviously Kyle is one of the biggest pieces of shit I've ever read in fiction, don't get me wrong. But you can see how he got that way. Or maybe not how he got that way. Like, how he got that way was being kind of raised in this prejudiced mindset of, male superiority, etc. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps kind of a guy. But it makes sense that he reacts the way he reacts. And it gets to a point where you will be reading the perspective of one character, and they will say, my plan is to do this, and then this character will do this, and you go, no, I know this character better than you do, they will react this way instead, and it will throw everything into shit. And they do, and you go, wow. That is my main takeaway from this book, just how good the multiple perspective stuff is. Perspective is honestly, or I guess point of view, I should say, is honestly like the thing that fascinates me most as a writer myself. The fact that the world can be seen through such different lenses, and yet people still have to compromise and work together, etc. It's fascinating, and Robin Hobb captures it better than any writer I've read, and I've read some good writers. But yeah, I guess I didn't really get to talking about how I feel about the main conceit of this book, which is like the live ship stuff. I do find the live ship stuff intriguing, and there's a lot of mystery surrounding it, and as the book went on, we uncovered a little bit more of that mystery, and I got a little bit more invested. But the mystery behind Wizardwood, and the quickening of live ships, and where their sentience comes from. At first I thought having sentient ships was kind of goofy, and also I should say one of my reservations about reading this series is, when it comes to like stories about pirates or just general maritime themes, I'm not your guy. I'm not a pirate guy, I'm not a mariner guy, I'm not a sailor guy. Those themes have always kind of bored me, I've always kind of rolled my eyes at them, but this book slowly worked its magic on me, and now I really enjoy it, at least when Robin Hobb writes it. But yeah, it's really interesting to explore, like, why is it sometimes not a good idea to have a sentient ship that can absorb the thoughts and feelings of its crew, and then its captain decides to turn it into a slave ship? How does that affect the ship? How much power does the ship hold over its crew? But most fascinatingly, when Vivacia was starting to remember what she was before she was a live ship, that's what's most interesting me, and I have theories about this. but it might spoil the end of the original Farseer trilogy. So, if you have not read the original Farseer trilogy, I will just bid you adieu now, because I don't think I have too much more to say beyond what I'm about to. So, thanks for watching, but spoilers at the end, and this is like 8-year-old memory, although I did go and read a summary before reading Ship of Magic. But at the end of the Farseer trilogy, there was a lot of to-do about waking dragons from clay using magic. I think that's a very similar style of magic to wakening live ships. But my theory is, if dragons are made out of clay and live ships are made out of wizard wood, then why do live ships get super uneasy around these serpents? Perhaps when serpents die, they turn into wood, and that is the wizard wood that is being turned into ships, and therefore the ships are literally made out of old serpent. I think that's the theory I'm going with. I'm sure I'll be wrong, but that's currently the direction my brain is going in. But anyway, yeah, that's my brief summary on my thoughts on Ship of Magic. Obviously, this isn't like a super in-depth review. I'm not going into every plot intricacy. I'm not going into every scene. But if you want any further thoughts on any particular scenes or things from this book, feel free to leave a comment and I'll get back to you. But other than that, I'm going to go read Mad Ship. When I bought this trilogy, I thought, I wonder who Mad Ship is referring to. And when I met Paragon on the beach, I was like, that's too easy. That's too easy. Althea's really worried that Vivacia's gonna go mad if they turn her into a slave ship, and then towards the end of the book, Vivacia is very upset. So, the state of mind that Vivacia is now in, maybe she's the one that's being referred to as the Mad Ship in the book title. I guess I'll find out. So thank you very much for watching. I should have a blurble reasoning probably within the month on the second to last Wheel of Time book, Towers of Midnight, because I'm also making my way through that at the same time as this series. But other than that, I will catch you in whatever I make next.